Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. This is Smart TCG, and today I'm going to be going over some of the more intricate things with Regidrago VSTAR. We're going to be going over exactly how you play some of the deck's more complicated matchups, and we're going to also go over some important sequencing with the deck. Regidrago VSTAR is arguably considered the most powerful deck in the standard format, but it's also one of the hardest decks to play as well. So making sure that you understand exactly what you should be doing in some, pretty thought-provoking situations is very, very important. So with that being said, let's hop into the deck list. Alrighty, hopping into the deck list here. First, we have a 3-3 line of Regidrago VSTAR. Regidrago VSTAR has that Apex Dragon attack, which for 2 grass and a fire energy, you get to choose an attack from a dragon Pokemon in your discard pile and use it as this attack. So the strategy of the deck is to use your discard cards like Professor's Research, Ultra Ball, and Earthen Vessel to get powerful dragon types in the discard pile, like the Alolan Exeggutor, Giratina VSTAR, Dragapult, Hisuian Goodra VSTAR, and Kyurem. Get those in the discard pile and then use the Apex Dragon to copy those powerful attacks. You also have Legacy Star, which is going to be your VSTAR power, which reads during your turn you may discard the top 7 cards of your deck, and then you put up to 2 cards from your discard pile into your hand. Now, it doesn't have to be 2 cards from the 7 that you discarded. It can be any cards from the discard pile, which is really, really nice. We got ourselves 3 Teal Ogerpon, and then for the dragon types, we got 1 Alolan Exeggutor, 1 Giratina VSTAR, 1 Dragapult EX, 1 Hisuian Goodra, and Kyurem as well. For the support Pokemon, we got Fezandipiti and Mew EX and Squawkabilly. Squawkabilly is a card that is really, really good in some situations, but you need to be very careful with benching it. One of the most difficult things about Regidrago is going to be bench management because you want so many different things on the board. You want a couple like Regidrago on the board, you want Fezandipiti, you want Mew EX, you want Cleffa. So bench space can be pretty tight. So when playing Squawkabilly, you mostly only want to be using Squawkabilly when you have a really, really mediocre hand and you just want to draw a fresh new hand as 6, or if using the Squawkabilly gets you to being able to attack with Apex Dragon on the second turn without having to use something like the Legacy Star. One of the most important things with this deck I think a lot of people kind of struggle with is trying to figure out when you should be using something like the Legacy Star or when you should be hiding behind something like Cleffa, and that's something that we'll be going over shortly. So Squawkabilly is a card that you have to be really, really careful. There will be even some situations on the first turn of the game where I have Research and Squawkabilly EX in hand and I'm going second, and I won't even bench a Squawkabilly simply because bench space is everything. Resources are everything in this deck. So yeah, Squawkabilly, very, very good card. However, you have to be really careful when you actually bench it. Next up here, we also got Cleffa. This is going to be a card that we go into, pretty in depth shortly. Cleffa with that Grasping Draw, one of the most important cards in this deck for 0 energy, allows you to draw cards until you have 7 cards in your hand. So this is going to be a great setup Pokemon. Also is a 1-prize Pokemon that you can sacrifice on the first turn of the game. And then we also got Radiant Charizard as well with that Combustion Blast. This is a great card, especially against things like the Turbo decks in the format, like Raging Bolt, Roaring Moon, Miraidon as well. Just as overall an incredibly powerful card. Great to finish games. We have 4 Professor's Research, 3 Iono, and 2 Boss's Orders. That's going to be our supporter count. I like the 3rd Iono just for consistency. If you want to play something like Temple of Sinnoh to increase the Lugia V-Star and also control matchup, you can, but I think that 3rd Iono, overall, is very, very good for consistency purposes. We have 4 Nest Ball, 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Earthen Vessel, 4 Energy Switch, 2 Super Odd, and then 1 Prime Catcher, 1 Switch, 1 Canceling Cologne, and 1 Jamming Tower. For the energies, we have 3 Fire Energy and 7 Grass. You could play Superior instead of the 3rd Fire Energy. However, if you do play 2 Fire, you run the risk of, prizing both, and you just kind of lose on the spot, in a lot of situations. And I feel like Superior isn't something that's super, super necessary, so I just like having the 3rd Fire. But yeah, all right, that is the deck list. Let's go over some of the, kind of tough decisions that you'll sometimes run into. All right, let's hop into it. Alrighty, so hopping into it here, I'm going to be showing you exactly how to navigate some of these more complicated turns. Now, understanding how to develop your board is arguably the most important thing with Regidrago because you have so many options. You have a lot of things that, you can put on the bench. It can be relatively difficult. So hopping into it here, we are going second. against a Regidrago V-STAR deck. Now, Cleffa is one of the most important things in this deck. You want to hide behind that Cleffa, using that grasping draw over and over again to be able to build up your hand so that you can attack with a Regidrago V-STAR without burning V-STAR. That is arguably the most important thing. When it comes to the Regidrago mirror, whoever is able to take a 2-prize knockout or just get an attack on a 2-prizer without burning V-STAR is going to be favored. So in my opinion, you actually want to go second in this matchup. Going second, I think, is actually better because it means that you can use a draw supporter, which means that you might not have to put Squawkabilly on the board, which means that you have a little bit of a more flexible bench. So that means you get to see more cards, potentially get something like Dragapult or, Giratina or Goodra, like into the discard pile. And you also get access to Cleffa as well, which means you just see more cards. So I think going second blind right now is actually relatively good, especially because the Regidrago mirror match is just so important. So the ideal board state that you typically want to have with this deck is going to be 2 Regidrago, 1 Teal Mask, UEX, Fezandipiti, and a Cleffa. So bench management, really, really important. Teal Mask is a card that in some matchups, like if you don't have like Fezandipiti down, or maybe like you prize either Fezandipiti or, something like the UEX, then you can put down the second Teal Mask. But understanding that you don't always need the second Teal Mask down at the beginning of the game, it's actually really important. So in a situation like this here, we actually have a really, really nice start where we're going to be able to get rid of that Dragapult, and we're able to use the Cleffa here. So we're going to discard this here. We're going to search our deck. Now, when it comes to prize checking, you want to check energies. You want to check your Pokemon as well. And then things like Prime Catcher, how many Boss's Orders as well. Boss's Orders is another really, really important card to make sure that you have in the deck. So in a situation like this here, we have a really nice start where we're going to be able to put down the Regidrago. We'll be able to use that UEX as well to draw 3, potentially finding ourselves some other good stuff here. We haven't used the draw supporter too, which means that we're just going to be able to dig even farther. So this is typically considered the God board. This is the board that you want to be able to get set up. This is going to be 1 UEX, 1 Fezandipiti. That means any type of hand disruption isn't usually going to slow you down. You also have, something like the Cleffa, which is your 1-prizer. You have 2 Regidrago down, and you also have a Teal Mask Ogerpon for that support. When Cleffa, potentially gets, taken down, then that opens up a bench spot for the other Teal Mask or something like Radiant Charizard. So in a situation like this, we will just be able to research, draw 7 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Have ourselves the Teal Dance. We'll be able to Teal Dance for 1. And we got pretty much everything that we want in this situation. So we will just be able to hide behind a Cleffa, for this turn, draw a couple cards. Really, really nice, great start here. However, we already have 2, 4, 6, 7 cards in hand. We kind of have everything we need. We can use that Energy Switch here. We have 2 Energy Switch in hand. So in this situation, you have a couple options. You could either put it onto this, or you could put it onto the Regidrago here. We're going to be looking for the next turn a Boss's Orders KO, or potentially Boss's Orders Goodra on something like that Ogerpon. So in this situation, I think it's actually okay just to attach this energy here, and then we can use the Grasping Draw to draw 1. So, all right, let's hop into our next turn. Alrighty, so hopping into our next turn, the other side of Regidrago attached an energy onto the Regidrago V-STAR, played a supporter, also got themselves another Regidrago down, and they had the option to use that Legacy Star. They could have gambled, dug for that Prime Catcher, but if they used Legacy Star and didn't find Prime Catcher, they would just be completely stuck, and they would be down Legacy Star, and they would just run out of resources. So as I said a little bit earlier, you want to be able to take a knockout or get an attack of any sort without burning V-STAR. So in this situation, they would have had to burn the V-STAR, which makes it just not worth it. You'd rather hide behind Cleffa, dig more through your deck, and get to the point where you would be able to use a Gust effect and then hit. So learning to hold back, that's one of the most important things with Regidrago. Holding back, hiding behind that 1-prizer, because we're trying to go 2-2-2. We're trying to knock out 3 2-prizers, so knocking out a 1-prizer doesn't really do a whole lot. So hopping into this turn, our goal, we'll draw for turn. It looks like we did get ourselves that Prime Catcher, which is great. our goal this turn is to go into Regidrago and then attack with a Regidrago V-Star. So we're going to use Ultra Ball here, going to get ourselves, just ditch the Squawkabilly and the Ogerpon. We'll grab ourselves the Regidrago, put it into the hand, shuffle the deck up. We'll go here. We have also an Energy Switch that doesn't really do very much. Now we're in an interesting spot here. We have a couple options. So in situations like this is important to go over. Another big thing is attempting to board lock your opponent. This is going to be another more higher level thing. A lot of players in this situation would go for potentially something like the egg. You know, they would maybe bring up the Squawkabilly and then use an egg to take 2 prize cards. However, there's another thing that we can do to leave all of these Pokemon on the board, locking the opponent out of Fezandipiti. And that is going to be looking to bring up this Teal Mass Ogerpon and Phantom Dive, or use something like Goodra. Because if you use something like the Rolling Iron this turn and you hit this Teal Mask for 200, then later on you can Phantom Dive and knock it out later on in the game. So that's really, really important. Now, this play will pop up potentially if they bench, let's say, 2 Teal Mass Ogerpon. You could go Rolling Iron, hit 1 Ogerpon, lock them out of Fezandipiti. The next turn, go Gust, bring up another Ogerpon, hit it for 200, lock them out of Fezandipiti again. Also, not taking prize cards, meaning they can only Iono you to 6, and then they can go Gust up Mew-EX or Squawkabilly, Phantom Dive, take 6 prize cards. So in this situation here, we're going to go after this Ogerpon because we're trying to lock them out of Fezandipiti here. So we'll go here, we'll promote the Ogerpon, we'll just go into the Mew, and then we can just simply play Iono. So understanding how to lock your opponent out is really, really important. So we can play the Iono, we can shuffle hand to the bottom here, and then put 3, and then draw, oops, I have to draw 6 here, 1, 2, 3. Okay, great. So in this situation here, we have ourselves an energy, which is really good. We can attach to here, also have a couple of other good cards. We have Ultra Ball. We could go Ultra Ball, discarding this and this, getting ourselves Regidrago, shuffle the deck, go here, play Canceling Cologne, then Mew for 2, 1, 2. Okay, so in this situation here, if we had Goodra V-Star, we would be Goodra V-Starring here. We'd be Goodraing for 200 damage, which pretty much locks out this Regidrago from knocking out, this Regidrago. So it's okay. Not great, though. We would have loved to Goodra because it most likely would have protected this Regidrago, but that's okay. So in this situation here, we can then just use the Phantom Dive, hit for 200. Once again, we could have gone for a KO. Let's say we had a Giratina in here. We still would not have gone for the KO. We would have just gone and hit for 200 to lock the board state. So we can use damage counter. So we'll go damage counter 200. Now in this situation here, we have a couple options. We don't want to knock out Cleffa because our goal is to go 2-2-2. We can always knock this out at some point. If they attack with Radiant Charizard, we can just go Phantom Dive, knock out Radiant Charizard, and knock out Cleffa. So that's fine. We have a couple options here on where we actually want to put this damage. You don't really need to put it onto Mew-EX or Squawkabilly. It doesn't really set up anything well, I guess we could go 6 here on Mew-EX and then next turn go 10-5. And then potentially, I guess that's actually probably okay. We could go 10-5 and then set up Kyurem for 6. But we could also hit this for 6. There's a couple options. So in this spot here, I think that it is probably best to, we can put 3 here. We can put 6 here, and then we could Phantom Dive this. It doesn't, yeah, there's like plenty of options here. We could also just set up the Kyurem play, as I said. We could just go set up Kyurem. So we'll go damage counter. Go here. Go damage counter. Put 6. Lots of different options. So what we can do next turn is we could go like Phantom Dive and then put 5 here and then Gust Ogerpon and Kyurem for 6. That's another cool thing that we can do because Regidrago right now is not playing Professor Turo. So putting the like damage like this is totally fine. So, all right, let's hop into the next turn. Alrighty, so hopping into it here. Currently, in this situation, they chose to knock out the Mew EX with that Alolan Exeggutor. Was able to get the KO there. So they do have a 2 prize advantage. However, I have damage advantage here. So in this situation, go draw for turn. Looks like we found Boss's Orders, which is pretty nice. We have Fezandipiti as well as Teal Mask, and we also have like Legacy Star. So guaranteed Gust no matter what is great. So in this situation, though, all we have to do is Phantom Dive, because if we Phantom Dive and put 5 onto Squawkabilly and then 1 onto Mew EX, we set up Kyurem for game. So we can use that Fezandipiti here, go 1, 2, 3. Now, since that Mew EX is gone, we could potentially look towards, something like another Teal Mask in this situation. So we'll go Earthen Vessel. We're going to discard here the Professor's Research, get ourselves Grass and Fire. Seems fine. We'll shuffle the deck. And then all I have to do here is I can go Teal Dance, draw 1, catch Fire, retreat, and I can simply just Phantom Dive in this situation. I have access to Super Rod plus the V-Star on the next turn. So all I have to do is I can go Phantom Dive here, then they can knock me out, and then all I have to go is go Super Rod, get myself back a Regidrago V-Star. I can research, I can then Legacy Star, I can Prime Catcher, bring up this Ogerpon, and then I can Kyurem, knocking this out, knocking the Mew out, because this will have 70, because I'll Phantom Dive 70 there. And then we'll put 5 onto the Squawkabilly. And then the next turn, I'll just be able to go Prime Catcher, KO, take all 6 prizes. Now, the ideal situation is if they bench multiple Teal Masks, you can just go Gust Up Teal Mask Kit for 200 with Goodra, Gust Up Teal Mask Kit for 200 with Goodra, and then V-Star get a Gust effect, and then, bring up something like Mew EX or Squawkabilly, and then Phantom Dive for 6 prizes. That's kind of the ideal situation. Or if they bench, pretty much as long as they bench 2 things with 210 HP and then 1 thing with 100 or with 200 HP or less, then you will be able to do the Phantom Dive or the Kyurem play for 6 prize cards. Now, if they bench, let's say Mew EX, Squawk, and Fezandipiti, then you can just go Kyurem as well. There's really a lot of options. However, learning how to lock your opponent out of using something like Fezandipiti is really, really important, because you can take a prize lead in this matchup, but if they hit you with an Iono and they knock out your only attacker, it's possible to miss, because an Iono to 2 is way more scary than something like an Iono to 6. So that was a little bit more of a complicated game, kind of going over like some of those harder situations. So yeah, that's what you're supposed to do, setting yourself up to take 6 prize cards. Really, really cool play there. Yeah, that is going to be kind of how you should be playing the Regidrago V-Star mirror match. The other line that you can take is just trying to go 2-2-2 faster than them. The main just like general strategy is if you can Gust and you can take a knockouts without, burning V-Star, you probably can go just like 2-2-2 as well. So there's really like multiple, I guess, just like different scenarios. This is like the super safe route though. So yeah, all right, let's hop into the Raging Bolt matchup. Alrighty, hopping into the next matchup we're going to be going over today. This is going to be the Raging Bolt versus Regidrago V-Star matchup. Now, this is a matchup that a lot of Regidrago V-Star players fear. However, if you understand how to play it correctly, it's actually not that bad of a matchup. So let's say we are going first in this situation. We'll just say the Raging Bolt player won the coin flip and chose to go second. So starting here, we have a hand of Nest Ball, Regidrago, and also Earthen Vessel. So typically what you always want to do when it comes to sequencing is that Nest Ball right there. That could be multiple different things. It could be a Regidrago, could be a Squawkabilly, could be Radiant Charizard, tons of different Pokemon that we could potentially use that Nest Ball for. So in this situation, you almost always just want to start off with a Teal Mask to draw 1 and see what you get, because what you get off this Teal Mask can influence what you take off that Nest Ball. So we're going to draw for turn here. It's just another Earthen Vessel, not super important, but this Nest Ball is going to be very important. Now, we have a Regidrago that we can bench. The problem in this matchup is usually Raging Bolt is the deck that's able to attack first, specifically into a 2 prize attacker, meaning that they can go 2-2-2 and they'll always win the prize trade faster than you. So we have to find a way to disrupt that. Now, a lot of people in this situation would use this Nest Ball to be able to get themselves a Regidrago. It makes sense to a lot of people. You get yourself that Regidrago, you put it down, you can attach to Regidrago, and then you're guaranteed to get a Regidrago V-Star going next turn. I would say in all likelihood. Like, it's, very, very likely that, like, you find a Regidrago V-Star, and you will be able to, get going, and you'll take a 2-prize knockout with maybe Giratina or something like the Alolan Exeggutor. However, there's a problem. If they take the first 2 prize cards and you respond with a 2-prizer, they just knock out the 2-prizer and go down to 2, and then they just can go Prime Catcher or, Pokemon Catcher and then take another 2 prize cards to win the game at the very end. That's an issue. So, in a situation like this, you need to push a 1-prizer attacker, specifically Radiant Charizard, as quickly as possible. So, in this situation here, we're going to use Nest Ball, not for that second Regidrago. We're going to get ourselves a Radiant Charizard. And we can bench the Radiant Charizard down here. We can attach for turn to this Radiant Charizard. And then all we can do here is just pass. That's okay. And the reason is, in this situation, let's say they use something like Prime Catcher or Pokemon Catcher, and they knock out this Regidrago. So I'm going to create the board state here quickly, show you exactly what happens when they do that. Alrighty, so hopping into it here, they were able to use a Prime Catcher on the first turn of the game to be able to take a knockout on a 2-prizer. But that's okay, because we're going to be looking to attack with Radiant Charizard on the second turn of the game, which is why we attach an energy onto Radiant Charizard, because if they take 2 prize cards in the first turn, that means that Radiant Charizard's Combustion Blast attacks for 3 energy because of its ability, Excited Heart. So that means that we'll be able to take a 2-prize knockout with a 1-prizer. What this means is that if they knock out the Radiant Charizard, they go down to an odd prize trade, and then you win the prize trade because you're winning the game in 3 attacks. As long as you force them to take a 1-prizer, they need 4 attacks to win the game. So even if they take the first 2 prize cards, if they have to go through a 1-prizer, that means they effectively have to take 7 prize cards in the game, which puts it back into your favor. So in a situation like this here, we can draw for turn. Got ourselves Energy Switch, which is great. We can use Energy Switch here. We'll go get this, attach here. We have Earthen Vessel as well. We can get rid of a couple options. I think that in this situation, we can just ditch probably the Earthen Vessel. Let's get ourselves a Fire Energy and a Grass Energy here. Shuffle up the deck. We can attach for turn, and bam, we now have a 1-prizer that takes a 2-prize knockout. So you might be wondering, well, what if they, recognize this threat and they used Prime Catcher or Pokemon Catcher to knock out the Radiant Charizard? That's okay because it's a 1-prizer, and then you can just go get into Regidrago V-Star, and then go attack with Regidrago V-Star, they knock out. You can attack with another Regidrago V-Star, they knock you out, and they go down to 1 prize because they spend a turn knocking out a 1-prizer, which has them on an odd prize trade. Then you can finish off the game with Radiant Charizard or possibly a third Regidrago V-Star, but that's admittedly kind of difficult to get set up. So here, we'll go Energy Switch. We'll go here. We'll draw 1 for turn. Prime Catcher, not really a great card to draw into here, admittedly. And then I can just go, probably actually just want to Iono here. Yeah, probably best just to Iono. So we'll play the Iono here. Put these shuffle hand to the bottom. And then draw 6 fresh cards. All right. So in this situation here, we can get ourselves a Fezandipiti. Shuffle the deck. Put Fezandipiti down. In this situation, we already kind of know what these Nest Balls are going to get us. They're going to get us another Regidrago. And just another Regidrago. So I feel pretty comfortable just thinning these out right now. It seems totally fine just to thin them out. Shuffle. And then I can Fez for 3. 1, 2, 3. We've attached for turn. That's totally fine. We have an energy here as well. We can energy switch later on. And we can use Radiant Charizard's Combustion Blast on the second turn of the game to knock out this Raging Bolt. So in this situation here, this is pretty much all that we kind of need to go over here, just because the setup is the most important thing with Regidrago. So now heading into next turn, yes, there should technically be 4 cards in hand right now. So we Iono'd them 2-4 in this situation. As I said, there should be 4 cards. It's just that I'm playing both sides right now, so I have to go over and do that. But yeah, just imagine there's 4 cards in hand right now. That means that they need to find an energy attachment and a gust effect. So they either need to find energy attachment, double Teal Dance plus boss's orders, or they need to find energy attachment plus 2 energies, and then, you know, Pokemon catcher, let's just say, right? You know, that's the other, you know, gust effect that's left. So we instantly put them in a situation where they have to gust turn 1, 2, and 3, because they had to gust on the first turn to knock out a 2 prizer. We presented them with a 1 prizer. They then, on the second turn of the game, have to gust again to knock out a 2 prizer, because we presented them with a 1 prizer that's attacking. And then all I have to do is push up potentially like that Radiant Charizard again, because if they use a gust effect next turn, let's say to knock out, I don't know, Fezandipiti, then I just go, okay, I can promote Radiant Charizard, I can Iono, and then attack with Radiant Charizard again, and they have to find another gust effect. So you force them to hit a gust effect on turn 1, 2, and 3, which is admittedly very, very difficult to do. And if they ever miss and they have to attack into a 1 prizer, the prize trade flips back into your favor, and you'll be able to win the game just by attacking with, for example, you know, back-to-back Regidrago, or like you can go Regidrago, knock out Super Odd, back the Radiant Charizard, and then attack for a game. So that's really, really important. Understanding how to develop your board in this situation is very, very big. So yeah, that is going to do it. I kind of wanted to go over some more of the intricate situations, understanding how to play certain matchups. I felt like this would be, you know, kind of useful. Let me know if you enjoy this type of content as well. And if there's any other decks that you would like to, you know, see me, you know, kind of go over. But that is going to do it for today. Thanks so much for all the support as always. I appreciate it. This is Smart TCG, and I'll speak with you guys again soon. All right, peace out.